Hi, thanks for joining me. It's Christine Kretscher from Create with Christine. I'm here with another Tuesday tip video tutorial. For my card today, I am featuring this card here that we're going to be making. And it's made with the new It Starts With Art stamp set and the coordinating Follow Your Art Designer Series paper. So this is brand new in the new annual catalog that was just released. I am using 3 of the stamps, the You Make Everything Sparkle, the pens and pencils or markers, then the little kind of rhinestone sparkly gems. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a card sketch that I'm playing along with the Casing Tuesday Facebook group. So they are making over this card here on page 59 of the annual catalog. So this is my inspiration, and I just have to say this is like super adorable. We now sell these little boxes, little mini shipping boxes, so you can close them shut with washi tape and tie them up in a bow. So I just had to point that out. That project's super adorable. So let's do our stamping first. And this card is kind of an ode to Winka Stella. You can see kind of the sparkle, I hope, that we're going to create. So I kind of went with the sentiment and used that Winka Stella on there. So I have a tiny piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures a 1/2 inch by 4 inches. I'm using my Coastal Cabana stamp pad for all the stamping. So what I'm going to do is do the little gems first, and then I'll know kind of where I can put my sentiment. So I kind of want to go over to one side. Oops, don't take the stamp away, the ink away. And then I'm ready to do my sentiment. It just jumps all over the place, but it looks good. And then I'm also going to stamp the markers and pencil in Coastal Cabana. So it's a little bit misleading. My Whisper White larger piece is 3 by 4, but I'm going to cover it up with some of the Designer Series paper. So I went approximately in the middle. It's going to get covered up with paper at the bottom. So I will just do that step right now. I have a great little piece of the Designer Series paper, and I'm just going to add that on with a little bit of green glue. This would be a great sketch to use up scraps of cardstock and Designer Series paper. And I like green glue because just like this, I have a minute or two to kind of wiggle it to exactly where I want it, and then stick it down. To get my Winka Stella accents, I built a pattern. I used 3 markers, Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana, and Pacific Point. Yes, Pacific Point. And what I'm going to do is just scribble a little of each. You can kind of see I have my palette going here from when I made the card originally. I just scribble a little bit on a clear envelope, and then I use that as my paint palette for my Winka Stella. Oops. Okay. Here's my Winka Stella. What I didn't do was make sure I didn't have any scrap paper to make sure there's no color. So why don't I do the lightest color first? So I kind of went a little bit darker near the tip and near the end and a little bit in the middle. But then I kind of pulled the color out and kind of wanted the rest of it to be lighter. kind of like a watercolor technique. And then when I'm happy with it, stop. I'm just going to scribble on the back to see if I have any Coastal Cabana off. The middle one is Calypso Coral. So the same thing, I'm going to kind of come over and kind of do the tip a little bit darker. The bottom a little bit darker. And I'm going to kind of pull the color out a little bit more for my lighter accents. Oops, I also did these three little dots. Okay, so if I like how that looks, nice and light and kind of a watercolor effect, I just want to scribble off my my Calypso Coral. It's like a tongue twister around here. The blue is a lot darker, the Pacific Point, so I kind of went heavy in my example. Let's see if I can get kind of a little bit of a lighter tone. There we go. Then when I'm happy with the kind of effect that I have, stop. Take my palette away. And I am ready to adhere to my card base. I just have a Calypso Coral card base. No, sorry, Coastal Cabana card base. I'm getting myself all confused tonight. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get that in about the middle. I want to get this down, and then I'm going to do, I have 4 cardstock strips, and they are 1/8 inch strips, so they're great to use up if you have any cardstock scraps laying around. So I need 2 that are 5.5 by 1/8, and then 2 that are 4.25 by 1/8. So I am going to do the sides first, and I am literally going to scratch a little tiny bit of liquid glue onto these to get them on. So hopefully you can see how little I'm using. I did cut them ahead of time. You could cut a bunch of strips and then just flip over the cardstock and snip them off with paper snips. So that's another option if you don't want to cut them down to the size. So the 2 sides are underneath, and the top and the bottom go over the top. This is a really cool effect. I've never done anything like this before, so when I saw that this was the card for Casing Tuesday for this week, I had to play along. It really frames the middle, and with 3x4 you really can do a lot with designer series paper. The Memories and More cards that we sell are also 3x4. So you could have a whole middle accent here in the middle with designer series paper. There's a lot of different things you can do. I really like to showcase just how you can use just a tiny bit of paper, and this paper is pretty loud, so a little tiny bit goes a long way. And then I just have my, oops, I forgot to color my sparkles, gems. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the Coastal Cabana and get those colored. Okay, perfect. And then I'm just ready to add my sentiment right up here in the corner. So there we have it. Whoops. That is my project for this week. I hope you will try painting with setting up a paint palette with your markers and then picking up the color with Wink of Stella. You can also use your ink refills. If you have ink refills, drop a little bit on a plate or saucer and or a plastic bag, and then you can pick that up with Wink of Stella to color as well. So please leave me a comment by Monday, June 17th at midnight Eastern for a chance to win this card in the mail from me for tuning in this week. I'll be back with another project to share next week.